See, I'm not in a rush. There's plenty of work to do. There's plenty to be learnt. There's plenty to grow, but I have all the time in the world. That is, as long as this world is there. As first introduced to the idea of reincarnation, it scared the heebie-jeebies out of me. It's a movie I saw called The Reincarnation of Peter Proud. I don't know if any of you have seen it.
That was very old.
Very old, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it in my teens and I was terrified. Because to me, the whole idea of reincarnation became a case for ghosts. And I did not want to deal with ghosts. I was terrified of ghosts. You know, it was the ghosts were the monsters under the bed, right? The ones that were pulling your legs as soon as you went to the bathroom, you know. So, as a child, because I was scared the monsters would grab my legs and pull me under, till my mother told me that in our house, we do Shiva Puja. In our family, for 3 generations, we do Shiva Puja, and no ghost can get you. And that was it for me. I was not at all worried about the ghosts anymore under the bed that were going to get my legs. But my real interest in reincarnation honestly came after I learned to meditate. Because then you lend yourself to many more possibilities. Souls that are not evolved, that are very recent entrance into this world, they die and are born, and die and are born. There's no resting period in between these lives. There's nothing to be learned. It takes a lot of time for souls to evolve and start thinking about what they want in their lives. If you ask a 5-year-old child, a child under the age of 5, what were you when you were a big girl? It's a good question to ask. They will tell you. Because the memory of the past life for some children remain. And there is I think his name is Anderson. I don't remember his name, but I read his paper, where he worked with children who very clearly remember where they went and what they did. When we are born into this world, we have amnesia. We're born with amnesia. We forget everything that has happened in all our lives. Because as soon as we are born, the mind comes into existence. Right? And we get dragged into world delusion. So we believe that whatever's here in this world is the answer to everything. And we never think about what happened before. And you accumulate memory based on this life. Right? Things that happened before. Now if I asked you last year in 2014 on May 1st, what did you eat for breakfast? Would you remember? Can you imagine what a burden it would be to remember each one of your past lives? In one life you were killed by a sword, another life you were killed by a fish, another one you drowned. You wouldn't be able to do a thing in this life. You'd be terrified of everything, filled with fears. Now some people bring those fears, if the impression has been really strong, and they died of drowning, or they died by a needle, or they died by some traumatic event, which there was no time to resolve. It was the trauma and then death. They carry that impression into their future lives. And that sometimes manifests as phobias. That is what Brian Weiss discovered. With that girl, I don't, Catherine or whatever her name was, millions and millions of phobias. And each time he only wanted her to relax and, go into a hypnotic state where they could find the origin of the fear. And like all psychiatrists, they believe the origin is in this life. Either, you slept with your mother or you slept with your father. That's the origin of everything for them. So they're looking for that horrible event in your life that took place. But to his utter shock, she started speaking different languages. She started talking about different things in the voice of the masters. She went into a space that was not of this world. And his book was groundbreaking for a lot of people, because in many religions it is a sin to think of reincarnation. That we all die and go to this place called heaven. And there we romp and roll around in a garden for the rest of our existing days at the feet of the Lord or whatever. To think that you're going to come back again and again and again is a very difficult concept to get a hold of, because who guarantees this? How do you know that this happens? I've tried to go for regression therapy, and for some reason I don't recall my lives. But when Rajiv tried it, I have some of the CDs, he immediately got visions. So some people have visions, some people don't have visions. I've kept my mind very open to possibilities. I cannot guarantee you that there have been lives in the past, or that you will be born again. No, I can't do that. But I can only talk to you about what seers, our ancient philosophy speaks of, and researchers in this generation have become so interested in it, and they have looked into it. They have regressed people, and people have talked about it. Is it true? Is it not true? Was it a movie that they saw, that they're recalling? Maybe. Those near-death experiences, are they just something coming from the occipital center of the brain? Maybe. Maybe it isn't. It's like saying, I believe in the Lord and I saw Him. Maybe. You have to keep your mind open to possibilities. So what is the theory, the Hindu theory? We make a very clear distinction between rebirth and reincarnation. Rebirth is for mortals, ordinary mortals, who are on a path and they pick to come. They choose their parents and they pick to come and learn a life lesson. Reincarnation is for much more advanced souls that come with a mission. So reincarnation happens with the siddhas, the ones that have been and always will be, that want to come and descend to the earth to help people find their way in this world. They may be born as pastors or as religious gurus or as yoga teachers or social workers, as anything where they make a difference. They know who they are. They know who you are. But even the real siddhas, the ones that have taken reincarnation, are subject to world delusion. And it isn't until a certain point in their lives that their true destiny is revealed to them. we believe in Hindu mythology that Lord Rama was a reincarnation of Vishnu. He came onto this earth to kill the evil Ravana. But at the age of 14, he was thoroughly depressed. He had no idea of his own divinity or of his mission. And it required a siddha like sage Vasishta to talk to him. And that book there that we read is the dialogue between Vasishta and Rama, where Vasishta reveals to Rama what his true nature is, what his purpose is in life. So even a great seer like him, a siddha like him, was not aware. So what is the condition of mere mortals like us? There are levels of souls, and normally they are identified by colors, going from yellow all the way to purple and white. That's how they identified themselves. Yellow, and then they move to orange, and the colors change to blue and green and blue, and there are hues. So the souls are nothing but bundles of energy. If you imagine that when your soul departs from your body, it's probably the size of your thumb, then you know how small it is. They communicate with each other through thought or some sort of energy where they understand, but there's no speech.
Who's they?
Souls communicate with one another, but there is no speech. There's nothing said. Souls apparently made the human into the form that was most acceptable for its energy to meld. That's what they say. You want to believe it, you can believe it. If you don't want to believe it, that's fine, but keep your mind open to possibilities. Why do you want to know about your past lives? Why do you want to know where you've been? Is it curiosity? Is it just interest? And even if you know, is it going to help? If it helps, definitely find out. But it might cause a few more problems in your life if you find out a few things about yourself that you were not supposed to remember. So, reincarnation is a cycle. We are born. Each birth is for a purpose. We learn, we evolve, and then we die and are born again. We learn and evolve, we die and we are born again. And the journey goes on and on and on until we meld with the divine, with the supreme power, the supreme consciousness, what do you want to call it, the creator. Why? Nobody knows why. What is the purpose of this? If the creator wanted us in his image, exactly in his image, why didn't he just create us exactly in this image? Why are we going through all these stages of evil and hatred and misery and killing and all of this? Because the creator is obviously not in that image. The creator is pure and gentle and beautiful. So what is all this? And in our Hindu literature, we call it Leela. It's a play. It's the play of the divine. The purpose behind it, no one really knows.
Isn't it to achieve higher to nirvana kind of thing?
Higher and higher and higher until you merge with the absolute consciousness, right? That's all we're going. But if he wanted us in that form, why didn't he just create us that way?
Well, that's along the way, I guess.
He's having fun. Someone's having fun with the rest of us. Leela. This is the Leela. This is the Leela. I figured that I know I've been born before, and I know I will be born again.
How did you figure that?
There are certain things also about reincarnation that will remain with you, that even though you can't have actual memories, you will have an affinity to certain types of food. And you'll hate certain others, certain types of clothing. And you'll hate certain others. And you'll go to certain countries and feel completely comfortable. And you'll mix with certain people of certain faith and feel that, wow, I feel so nice in their company. Those flashes that you get, like of deja vu, like you feel like you've been here, you've seen this, but you can't put a finger on it because you can't go deep enough into that memory. That is what makes you, those are glimpses that you've been born again and again. Another thing that reincarnation seems to give a plausible explanation is for homosexuality and this transgender stuff. If you are born for about 40, 50 lifetimes as a woman and then take birth as a man, at times the impressions of being a woman are so strong in your body that you don't identify with being a man, which is why you exhibit homosexual tendencies. It's a good explanation. It's one.
That's a different.
It's an
I
interesting
haven't
one.
heard that one before.
It's an interesting one, but it makes sense, doesn't it?
It does.
Doesn't it? We have another 1,000 years. So, 1,000 years is nothing in the lifetime of a soul. So I'm sure they're busy working on other worlds that we can go to. The universe is massive, is huge, and infinite. But, yeah, I mean, those are the problems that we need to think about, not about the way our hair was cut. See, I connected it. I connected it. I mean, can you imagine in 1,000 years, we're not going to know,
We're going to be bold.
we're not going to know where we're going to go. We might, our next life may be without hair.
Yeah.
Garni, what you going to do if your next life is without?
So does your behavior affect what happens to you? Like if you do bad things and you sin, doesn't that bring you back a different way? I mean, you're choosing like the family. I'm talking about like what you've done with your life.
Well, you know, in this plane of life, you can be a member of, say, ISIS. And your entire life you're spending trying to kill the Americans. Okay. But this life, when you die and you go and you have a chance to think about it, you realize, because at your core is that pureness or that goodness, that sense of peace. So any evil acts are outside of yourself. So you see that and you say, I realize I have spent my life, being so violent against the Americans. So the next life, I want to understand what it's like to be an American facing people like ISIS, so the roles get reversed. The roles get reversed. Perhaps you were cruel to a person who had a handicap, and in the next life, your child is born handicapped. So you learn, or you pick to learn. It's what you pick to learn.
Choose a lesson.
Yeah, it's the life lesson that you have to learn.
But what if let's say for example ISIS, they're brought up from what I'm hearing to believe that they're doing this for God. We look at it differently, but they believe they're doing the right thing. They don't believe that they're sinning or they're killing. They believe that they're going to a better place because they're serving God, their God, whatever their crazy thinking is.
And you look at it from there.
Especially to be bad, they're doing it because they think that they're being good.
Exactly.
So how does that
Whereas if
play?
you look at the American soldier, if you look at what the American soldier is doing, he's going and killing too.
Yeah.
He's killing families, he's killing innocent people.
Right.
Is from the point of view of the Muslim, whose entire house is ruined, whose children have been killed. What is this
Same thing.
American soldier? Except, perspective can be very different. Perspective can be very different, and we can't condemn anybody or anything too easily. We have to have compassion. We have to have compassion for everyone. You don't know what they've gone through to reach this point in their lives that they're doing this. You know, how many family members were killed for them to reach this point where they don't mind dying to avenge their, now revenge, vengeance. These are all things we don't want in our lives.
Yeah.
So you'll get a chance. You'll be given, they say that it's like a big 360-degree screen where you see flashes from your life. But those flashes change when you make different choices. So you may pick a life where you want to learn about humility, but you live an arrogant life, a wealthy, arrogant life, because you never got to the point where your life lesson was revealed to you. So that life is a waste, and when you're born again, you've got to do this all over again. And when you want to cop out and you commit suicide, your birth is almost instantaneous into the same setting. That's what they say.
Same setting?
That's what they say. I mean, in the sense, whatever you were trying to avoid,
Exactly.
whatever it is that you committed suicide for, you'll be born again.
But a lot of those
You're gonna go through
people
the
have
same thing.
mental illness also.
And
so-
I've heard that before.
Don't you think?
It's, whether you call it mental illness, it's an inability to face the situation that they're in, right? So it's like when you go to sleep, what is the last thing you look at is going to be the very first thing that occurs to you in the morning. Try it for the next 5 days. The last thought at night, so I keep telling you, read a good book at night, have good thoughts at night. And that's why people, they tell their children to say prayers at night. So the first thought is of the Lord, right? It is the same with death. The last act in your life is the first act in your next life. So if you committed suicide to escape something, that is the very first circumstance that is going to take place in your life. That's what they say. I don't have major phobias or problems going on. I need to focus on my life's mission. And my life's mission is to just be happy and to make everybody else happy.